All right, so today we are going to start chapter 10, which is an important chapter for us because a lot of this information is information that you will use some next year in geometry, a lot the year after in Algebra 2, okay? So that's why we spend a lot of time in this chapter. So section 1, we're going to talk about addition and subtraction of polynomials, okay? So I'm going to go over just a few definitions real quick, and then we'll get started. Okay, a polynomial is a monomial or the sum of monomials. Now, does anyone remember what a monomial is? Does anyone know what the prefix mono refers to? How many? One, right? So a monomial would be one term. A monomial could be a number by itself, it could be a variable by itself, or it could be a combination. Like 3xyz is a monomial, as long as it's all being multiplied, okay? So mono means one. Binomial would mean how many? Two. So that would be two monomials together, added or subtracted. And then what about a trinomial? 3. Okay. Now, can there be more than trinomial? Yes. Okay. We would just say it has 4 terms, 5 terms, 6 terms. We don't have special names for those. So we'll talk specifically monomials, binomials, and trinomials. Okay. Just waiting on a couple people, make sure we all have that written down before we move on. All right. Okay, when it asks you to find the degree is just the sum of the exponents for each monomial, okay? So if I have a term that says 3a squared b cubed, all you have to do is add your exponents together. What is 2 plus 3? 5. So my degree here is 5. Okay, what if I have 7, x, y to the 5th, and z? So if I'm adding all my exponents, which of these things have exponents that we don't see? X and z have an exponent of what? 1, right? So then I can add, what's 1 plus 5? 6, and 6 plus 1, 7. Okay, so degree is pretty simple. The one thing you have to watch out for is if you have more than one term. So both of these are called what? Monomials, binomials, trinomials. What are those? Is there any addition or subtraction here? No. So how many terms do I have? 1. Okay. This will be a monomial because there's no addition or subtraction. Addition or subtraction is what you'll see that will tell you you have more than one monomial, okay? Which I'm going to show you. So 17 g squared h plus 5g cubed h to the 4th. What type do I have here? Monomial, binomial, or trinomial? Binomial, right? There's 2 parts separated by what? An addition sign, okay? So I have one monomial on the left, one monomial on the right. Now, when you have more than one, you have to define the degree of each one. So what would be the degree of my first monomial here? 3, right? 2 plus 1 is 3. What would be the degree of my second one? 7. And then you just choose whichever one is bigger. Okay, so what's the degree of this polynomial? 7. Okay, last one and we'll move on. Okay, what type do I have here? Monomial, binomial, or trinomial? Say it. Trinomial, right? Because I have 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, separated by subtraction. Okay, so first we're going to identify what's the degree of this first term here. 3. What's the degree of my second one? Okay, good, because D has 1, so 6. Last one can be a little tricky. Not 1. 0, right? If I don't have any variables, it's just going to be 0. Okay, so the degree of this whole polynomial would be what? 6, right? Whichever one has the largest degree. Okay, we okay with that? Not too bad. All right, next part. Anybody still writing that down? Okay. All right, when it asks you to write something in standard form, you're going to put the largest degree first. And then go to smallest degree. So if they give you 8y plus 7y cubed, and they just want us to rewrite it and list the largest degree first. So which term has the larger degree, 8y or 7y cubed? Okay, so then I write 7y cubed first, and then what would I put after it? Plus 8y. How do I know it's plus 8y and not minus 8y? Kind of. Really, this plus sign goes with which number, the 7 or the 8? It goes with a 7, so the 7 stayed positive. What type of number is 8? Positive, so that's why it's a plus sign here. Remember, we always look in front of the number to know what sign it has. Okay, so I've written it in standard form. Then it might also ask you, what is the leading coefficient? What would be my leading coefficient of this written in standard form? What's a coefficient? Anybody have a guess? If I want the leading coefficient, what leads that whole thing? Just, it can only be one thing. Who's in the very front? 7, right? Coefficient is a number in front of a variable. So is 8 also a coefficient? Yes. Why is 8 not the leading coefficient? Because it's not in front, okay? So it might also ask you for the leading coefficient. Now, can you identify the leading coefficient if it's not in standard form? No, right? Because otherwise you would say 8, which is not the correct answer. So standard form first, then you can identify leading coefficient. Okay, let's look at the second one. Negative 4d to the 4th power plus 1 minus d squared. Okay, so what term would I write first based off degree? What's that whole term, though? What's the whole monomial?
4d to the 4th.
Close, you're missing one thing.
Negative.
Negative, right? We keep the negative. Whatever sign's in front, we keep. So negative 4d to the 4th, okay? Would I put 1 next or negative d squared?
Negative d squared.
Negative d squared, because that has an exponent of 2 or a degree of 2. What degree does 1 have? 0, right? So that's why it goes last, plus 1. Okay? And then my leading coefficient here would be
Negative 4.
negative 4. Okay. Anybody think they can tell me the last one? Good. Negative b to the sixth power has to go first because that has the highest degree. Negative 9b to the second power. Good. Plus 10b. And what's my leading coefficient here? Negative 1. Very good. Okay. Negative 1, number in front. All right. You ready to move past the easy stuff? Okay, here we go. It's really not that bad today. Anybody still writing this down? Let me explain before we say, oh, this is a whole lot. Okay, anytime that I'm going to add things together or subtract, what do they have to have? If I'm doing addition or subtraction and things have variables, what do I have to look for? Like terms, okay? Like terms are things that have the same variable with the same exponent, okay? So, what's my like term for 2x squared?
4x squared.
Close, you missed one part of it. Negative 4x squared, okay? So, all I have to do is add the numbers, keep the variables the same. What's 2 plus negative 4?
Negative 2.
So negative 2, and I keep the variable the same, x squared. Okay? Then, what are my other like terms here? What's 5x plus 6x? So I would write plus, because it's positive, 11x. And the last things I can add together? Good. Negative 7 plus 3, JC, is? Negative 4. Okay? Essentially, you guys, all we're doing today is just combining like terms, okay? You do have to be careful because some of these problems get kind of lengthy in what they give you, so you just have to make sure that you're writing the correct thing as you go through. The other thing is you've got to pay attention to your signs. A lot of times we tend to not pay attention to our signs, okay, and that can get us in trouble. So, of these terms, what has the highest degree? Y to the third. So, I have what numbers in front of this one? So, I have 1y to the third plus 2y to the third. What's that give me? 3y to the third, okay? Then I would move to y to the second. What if I don't have anything to add that to? Okay, and what do I put in front of it? Plus, because it's positive. So plus 4y squared. Then I have 3y plus negative 4. What's 3 plus negative 4? Negative 1, or just negative y. Lastly, negative 5 plus 8, positive 3. We okay with this? I think I only have 2 examples left. Yeah. Still see a couple people writing, so I'll wait. Am I going too fast? Okay. All right. 3 minus 2x plus 2x squared minus 4x minus 5 plus 3x squared. Okay, now, here's the one time you have to be a little more careful. When we see subtraction, right, I could start with 2x, and then I could go through and I could subtract this. Does anyone remember, like, when we first learned subtraction of integers, what we always changed subtraction to? To what? Addition. Yes, right? Because subtracting is the same thing as adding the what? Opposite. So all we're going to do anytime we have subtraction is we're going to change to addition, and then everything that follows in parentheses, we change the sign. So this 4x becomes what? Negative. Negative 5 turns to positive. Positive 3 changes to negative. And then you can just add exactly like we have been, right? Now I can go through and say 2x squared plus negative 3x squared. What's 2 plus negative 3? Negative 1, or just negative x squared. What would I add together next? Make sure negative 2, negative 4 gives me negative 6x. And then lastly, just my constants, 3 plus 5, positive 8. Okay? All right, last one. This is one I would definitely write down. All right. First thing here is I need to change what part of this problem? Yeah, subtraction to addition, and then change the signs of everything after. So 4 becomes negative, 2 becomes positive, 6 negative, okay? Now, when we start getting into things that have more than one variable, do those variables have to look exactly the same in order to add them? Yes, okay? So, if I'm going to start with x squared y cubed, I have to find x squared y cubed in this to add it to. So, what else has x squared and y cubed? Plus 2, okay? So I add those together. What's 7 plus 2? So I get 9 x squared y cubed, okay? What has x cubed y squared? Negative 4. What's 3 plus negative 4? Okay, so negative x cubed y squared. Lastly, do both have y squared? Yes. What's negative 1 plus negative 6? Negative 7. Okay, now, what if you have some things that don't have something to add up with? Like they don't have a like term, what do you do with them?
Put it down.
Yeah, just bring it down to your answer. If there's nothing that looks exactly the same, right, those variables, then we can't add it. All right? Do we feel like this is easy enough for us today? Anybody have questions? No. Today we're just doing practice